I'm here at the Women in Leadership Summit here in Emirates Palace in Abu Dhabi, and I'm being joined by the Group Director in Eurasia and Africa Group for Women's Economic Empowerment of Coca Cola, Susan Mboya. Susan flew all the way from Kenya to deliver the good news, which is an initiative, a global initiative of Coca Cola called 5 by 20. What is it all about?
5 by 20 is a global initiative that the Coca Cola Company started in September of 2010. And our goal is to economically empower 5 million women around our global value chain by the year 2020.
Sounds impossible, but how are you going to do it?
Well, a number of ways. We already have almost 6 million women in our system, in our global value chain system today. So we believe it is possible because we're already doing it. But really what we want to do is to economically empower some of the women, some of whom are already in our system, and also bring in new women into the system, giving women an opportunity to generate revenues for their family. And we're looking at doing this in several ways, providing access to retail. So giving them a store or a storefront or even a cart that they can sell product out of, giving them access to assets, retail assets like a cooler, shelving, signage, giving them access to business skills, training. A lot of women, particularly in this part of the world, are not as financially literate as their male counterparts or haven't had the kind of training that they need in order to run a business. So providing many of these women with the skills that they need in order to successfully run their business. And then importantly, providing them with access to financial services. For many women, the barrier to starting a business or expanding a business is access to the capital or the financing to do that. And so we're working with local banks. We're also looking at, talking to the IMF about how do we make loans more accessible to women who own very small businesses. And then finally, we recognize that for many entrepreneurs, entrepreneurism can be a very lonely job. And so we know that women tend to do better in their businesses when they have a network and the support that they can rely on. And so we're also looking to bring together women entrepreneurs to enable them to support each other and help each other.
So you're not only empowering them, you're also connecting them so that they can all share their experiences with one another. I'd like to know, in the process of doing this, you started in September 2010, what have been the challenges that Coca-Cola, your team, have encountered in implementing all these measures?
Well, it's still very early days. The first challenge we really had was to understand where we stood, understand where how many women we had in the system, and then start to build a plan towards this additional 5 million that we want to bring in. So just getting a good count of the number of retailers we had in the system. I wouldn't say we've had a lot of challenges. As I said, it's very early days. There is clearly a lot that we have to do. We recognize that as a company we will have to rely on partners, particularly in areas that are not a core competency like financial services, like business skills training. And to do something at this magnitude, we are also going to need to rely on the governments of the countries that we're working with to make sure that the infrastructure is in place and that the laws are favorable towards entrepreneurship. And so we're really looking to overcome some of those barriers.
And I'm sure Coca-Cola has touched the lives or have helped a lot of women in the African continent and in Eurasia. But since we're here in the Middle East, what do you think can be done here in the region by companies such as yours in order to empower more women, to encourage them to enter the business sector?
I think there's a number of things that we can do. I talked about access to finance. That is a universal issue here as well. And working with the local banks, working with international banks to provide more access to loans. We're actually doing that in Egypt. We are empowering 200 women, providing them with loans to be able to start their own business, for example. Business skills training, a huge need as well. And I think that is going to be a key focus for us here in the Middle East, is to provide women with the skills that they need in order to successfully run their own businesses.
Thank you very much, Susan. So it's really opening financial opportunities and training them or empowering them with business skills. These are the main things that will really move this thing forward. Thank you very much, Susan Mboya, Group Director of Eurasia and Africa Group for Women's Economic Empowerment of the Coca Cola Company. She's in town for the Women in Leadership Forum here at Emirates Palace in Abu Dhabi.